Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of Voices from Our Schools. I'm your host, Kimberly Stender, and I thank you for joining me today. With me today, I have two really remarkable guests from Amherst College who have brought this really unique program to Crocker Farm Elementary School, and we're here to talk about it today. It's called the LEGO Mindstorms Robotics, and it is fascinating. And you and I are both going to learn a lot about robotics and technology from our two guests. So I want to introduce Christopher Kingston from Amherst College. Hello, Chris.
Hi. And
Henry Laney, also from Amherst College.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm glad you joined me today, and I'm really excited to learn about all this. I think my extent of technology ended at Star Wars, so I'm really intrigued by what you do at Crocker Farm with our students and how you could tell our viewers much more about it. So before we begin that conversation, Chris Kingston, you're a professor of economics at Amherst College. And how long have you worked at Amherst College?
Since 2001.
Okay, and what brought you to Amherst?
Well, I first came to Amherst actually in 1994 as an international exchange student at UMass, so we were here for a year then. And so then after graduate school, I came back to Amherst College to the faculty.
Wonderful. And you and I have worked sort of for the past 2 years talking about this, and what started as, you know, kind of an idea probably you had walking across campus has now flourished into a really successful and vibrant program down at Crocker Farm.
Yeah, we're very happy I'm happy that it's carrying on, and I'm looking forward to seeing it continue into the future.
Oh, great. Okay. And Henry, you are a sophomore at Amherst College, class of 2017?
2017.
And you hail from Miami.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Amherst College?
So a few things. The first would be the open curriculum was really attractive. So there are no general requirements, and you have a lot of flexibility to explore different areas depending on what you're interested in. The second would be I heard good things about the computer science department at Amherst. It's theoretical, and that's kind of because it's a liberal arts college. They don't let it get too technical, but I enjoy the theory, the computer science theory. And the third would be that my girlfriend was going here, my girlfriend at the time, and we're married now.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. So is she involved with the program as well?
She is, yeah. She also participates in the program, and she's also a computer science major. So.
Oh, wow, okay. And it's also nice, I guess, to have UMass in the backyard of Amherst College for computer science. Right. I know they're very strong in that as well. I know there's been kind of a partnership formed between the two colleges in the university.
A lot of our juniors and seniors take courses there for electives in computer science at UMass.
Okay. Well, I just want to welcome you back, and I guess, Henry, you're probably wishing you're in Miami today, because it's been pretty cold here these past few weeks.
Yeah, it has been pretty cold, and it's about 70 degrees there right now. But it's rainy. It's rainy, so that's kind of consolation to me.
A little humidity, too, you know. Yes. Well, I'm just, again, thank you so much for being here, and I'm really excited to learn about this LEGO robotics Mindstorm stuff. So where do we begin? Like, what is this? I mean, you brought some really cool models here. These are actual robots that the kids have made down at Crocker Farm, and they actually work.
They do. They work. So the core of this system is there's a sort of a programmable small computer here that connects to a larger computer. So we have 12 of these kits, and we have some laptops that were donated by Amherst College. So the kids use the laptops to program the computer here, and this connects to some motors and then some sensors. And so the kids can program on the laptop and can build robots to accomplish various functions, and then have to design a program to get them to do something.
Wow. And this is part of the after-school activity, right? This doesn't happen during the school day, but it's meant for kids to meet after school once a week, twice a week?
It's been once a week.
Okay.
At one point we had 2 groups, each meeting once a week. But yeah, it's an after-school program. They do have some of this NXT program going on within the curriculum, I think maybe in the 5th and 6th grades a little bit, but this was for 4th graders as an after-school program.
So 4th graders get to select this opportunity, and how many 4th graders do you get per session, Henry?
So this year we decided to take 14 4th graders, and then last year we had a bigger group, so we kind of scaled it down a little because it was to make it more manageable. So we try to kind of split it by gender, 7 boys, 7 girls, to keep the class, equal, yeah, equitable in terms of gender, so that if anyone is there, they don't feel left out, especially because they tend to group up, groups of girls, groups of boys.
Well, I can imagine too, just being in the STEM fields, women or these young girls now are, finding a real interest in this type of work and study. So this is a really practical introduction to perhaps what they could accomplish later on in life as engineers or scientists or mathematicians.
Yeah, specifically in computer science, I know some of the stats, and from 40 years ago, the percentage of women graduating with computer science majors has actually decreased. It was higher near the inception of computer science. And so there are a lot of efforts, even on Amherst College campus, to increase the number of women in computer science and other STEM fields.
That's fascinating. Well, this is a good start for our young students down at Crocker Farm.
Well, most of our volunteers actually have been Amherst College women, rather than male students. It's fairly equal, but we've had a lot of good role models, I think, for the kids. And we have tried to keep it, so we started with 6 boys and 6 girls. That was 2 years ago. Now, last semester we had 7 boys and 7 girls.
Wow.
But initially it was much easier to get people to sign up, boys than girls. That was sort of surprising to me. But when we sent out the initial announcement for the kids, almost every boy, the parents thought, well, my kid loves Lego and loves robots, and so they signed up. But it was a little harder to get people to sign up, the girls. Although more recently, I think with word of mouth, that's become better. So.
And it's a free after-school program, and it's
yeah.
Because Amherst College has been so generous, essentially the Center for Community Engagement, who have purchased these kits, which are pricey, and provide the laptops for the students to use, as well as any other supplemental materials like these books and all that fun stuff that goes along with it.
The CCE has been terrific. I mean, Sarah Barr and Molly Mead and everybody there have been really right behind this. So initially, when I contacted them about this, they were very enthusiastic, and they really have played a strong role in sort of pushing me along to make it happen, and then supporting us as we go along. The kits are about sort of $300 each, and we have 12 of these kits, as well as various other resources and books that we've been using.
Wow. And not all your volunteers come from Amherst College. I know recently you've reached out to UMass. There's a professor there that has kind of enlisted some of his students to help.
One of his children is in the program, so he's sent over several students. I think about 4 have attended from UMass, and they've all been really helpful.
And that's Professor David Schmidt over at UMass?
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's right in this as well.
He's a mechanical engineer, or he teaches mechanical engineering students. So many of them, they see these and they say, "Oh, I did this, when I was back in middle school. That's why I'm now a mechanical engineer." So they've been very enthusiastic, and it's been great.
Wow. Well, Legos have certainly come a long way. I remember when I was a young girl, all we had was maybe 2 shapes and 4 colors. So I look at something like this and I think this is really sophisticated. And how great of it for Lego as a company to get into these robotics and then market them to school kids. So I'm really fascinated by it. So the kids arrive at the after-school program. I kind of envision all these tables and these laptops and Legos set out. They have instructions to follow in these manuals.
Yeah, so initially, to start out, they're doing something fairly simple. Usually the first project is to just get a robot, to build a robot, and then get it to move from point A to point B, just to program it to go in a straight line. Or then to put an obstacle in the way and to have to program the robot to go around a particular obstacle and get to some destination. So that's just a matter of moving the robot. And then gradually they move on to more sophisticated programming, where they're using both the sensors and the motors. So the robot is learning something about its environment from the sensor, and then making a decision about what to do with that information and moving the motors.
Wow. So do you find that the students at Crocker Farm know about programming these computers, or do you have to really teach them how to do that too, Henry?
So none of them that I've come across have any programming experience, but the programming language is pretty straightforward. It's almost like building Legos on a computer. So you have drag and drop blocks that you bring into the program, and so one block might be to move the engine, and another block would be to use a sensor. And you can string these blocks together, and you get more sophisticated programs. And so we really we try to help the kids understand what they're doing. You learn some of the terminology behind the programming, like loops, which come in handy for doing these robots, and then they can apply it to doing like different tasks.
It's pretty amazing. And do you find that they learn fairly quickly, or is it kind of a greater learning curve with something like this?
They pick up the programming pretty quickly, actually. That might just be because they're a really curious bunch who sign up, but also I think it's straightforward enough that people can get started pretty quickly. Not a very high learning curve.
So, did you want to add to that?
Well, I think often the role of so we have typically the students or the kids are working in groups of 2 or 3, and they have a laptop and they have a robot and they have a student volunteer working with them. And very often the volunteer's role is to sort of try and take all of their sort of energy and crazy ideas and turn it and figure out what might actually be feasible. So that the kids, that they're actually very good at picking up the programming language and so on. But sometimes they have rather kind of crazy notions that that need to be reined in a little bit.
Not fourth graders. So they're learning a lot of analytical thinking too. Yeah. It's really amazing. And with the STEM programs that we have in the schools, and for those of our viewers who don't know, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. This really goes hand in hand with what we're teaching in our sciences, and as kids matriculate to the high school in certain engineering courses. It's pretty fascinating. So they're building these things. They're sitting there for about an hour and a half once a week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of hours.
And they're able to create something like this.
Yeah, and this is, these sort of robots are partly made using the instructions that come in various books or on the computers, and then they add their own kind of bells and whistles and their own ideas.
Yeah.
And the programs they start out with are programs that you can find in these books, but then oftentimes they'll sort of add things. They particularly like programming the robots to make sounds.
Oh.
Rude sounds sometimes. And so there's things like that are not in the manuals. So.
Well, it's very cool. And then, do they have like competitions within the workshops? Like, do they have jousts or who could build the biggest robot, or is it?
We had a number of groups kind of split off and start like robot fights. So they would put maybe 2 robots on a table and then have them run at each other until one was pushed off the table. That actually didn't end very well once because one of the robots wasn't caught as it was falling off the table, so it kind of broke apart. But I think they learned after that to make sure, to have safety first with their robots. And they also use, we'll show you later, demonstration. They have a ball launcher, and they launch the balls at each other.
A little mischief. Well, what's really neat is that all this movement and precision takes place from this one transmitter, I guess it's called.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's called the brick, I guess.
The brick.
But it contains the program, and it's processing the inputs from the sensors and deciding what commands to send to the motors.
So this is essentially a little computer.
Yes, it is.
And it's hooked up to the laptop.
Right.
The kids are able to create these programs,
Right.
build the robot itself, and then, I guess, command it to do different functions.
Yeah, they download the program onto the computer, the robot's computer, and then using the buttons on the computer, they can start the program, and it goes through the program that they wrote and executes all the things that they they programmed it.
They did. Well, it's pretty cool. Could we see a demonstration? Is it something that we could, you could show right now?
I'll turn this one on. This is some version
Let me
of
get out of the way.
a shooting
It has that ball
robot.
shooter.
And so I'm going to just select. There's lots of different programs on here that the students have made. So this this program is called, well, actually, let me go back to, pardon me. I'm going to do a simple one first.
Okay.
So this program is called Shoot Red. Right now, they have the screen here is showing a heart. It's reading from this color sensor right now.
So this little thing, this little box right here.
And so this is reading what color is in front of it. So right now it sees blue, for example, or white. But the program is called Shoot Red. It's not doing anything right now. When I put something red in front of it, here's a red book from my office, it's going to shoot one of these little yellow balls off into your studio.
Okay.
Or it should be.
Oh, there it
There it
goes.
goes.
Okay.
So it's taking information from the sensor, it's processing it, deciding what to do, and then deciding whether or not to move that motor. If it sees something white in front of it, it's not going to shoot that. You can so that's a very simple kind of program. Here's a more complicated one. So now this is going to kind of patrol, looking for something in front of it.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, something's close, it says. Alarm, and therefore it's going to shoot, and so on. Oh, okay, it's going to keep shooting. So, yeah, we'll pick those up
Our
later.
ratings just went up. Thank you.
All right, so that's the sort of thing. But in each of
Get
those
the
cases, in that case, it was using this sensor, the ultrasonic sensor on the front here, that measures how close something is, the distance to the nearest object. So when it sees you in front of it, it will warn you to go away, and if you don't, it'll shoot at you.
R2-D2.
And they use the ultrasonic sensor for mazes, so you can continue going forward until you come within 2 inches of a wall, and then you turn right. And so you can use the ultrasonic sensor to gauge how far away you are from different objects in the maze.
That's really cool. So the kids can create mazes within the classroom and then program
Yeah,
their...
we use chairs and books and stuff.
Oh, I like that. That's kind of neat. They get off the tabletops. Wow. So how far can students take their designs? I mean, obviously we've seen what this little machine is capable of doing, but can you create larger robots using these programs, or is it kind of contained to this size?
Well, you can actually string, this is more advanced, but you can string a bunch of these things together and have like one central brick giving commands to peripheral bricks. So you can build probably quite complicated robots. For our purposes, we've just been we have quite a lot of Lego, but we've been building robots this size. Each one of these bricks can run 3 motors. So there's a sort of a limited amount you can do with that. But,
wow, this is really fascinating. I did not think that this would happen. I just figured it would be sort of almost like a 2-dimensional type of robot. And then seeing this in action, you realize the complexity of these things and what our students are able to accomplish. So it's very amazing. And then how long does the Lego Mindstorm Robotics program run at Crocker Farm? Do you do it twice a year? Do you do it a few times a year?
Well, we've been doing it each semester for probably sort of 8 to 10 weeks. We try and wrap up a couple of weeks before our students hit finals. So we're just sort of getting started now for this semester.
Wow.
And it depends, of course, how many Fridays the kids are out of school.
Oh, yeah, well, this winter's been a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Henry, you're hopefully going to take the reins of this program in the next year or so. What do you envision this becoming? Do you want to keep it at Crocker Farm, or would you like to extend it to some of the other elementary schools in town?
So we could definitely reach out to different elementary schools. It would depend on interest of both the participants and the volunteers who are helping build. So far this semester, it seems like there's a decent amount of interest, and we might even be able to do 2 days at Crocker Farms and maybe have 2 different groups of volunteers. And I like to see something like that, because there were a lot of students at Crocker Farms who weren't admitted to the program because they were trying to keep the size low. So if we could have 2 days with 2 separate groups and 2 separate groups of volunteers, I think that we could reach a lot of the kids.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I think it also gives opportunity for the college students to get involved. And it's great that UMass is now, taking part in this, and their students are able to get off campus and engage with our students in our schools. I think I think there's going to be a lot of potential here, and I just hope that I know you're going to be able to keep it going for a few more years, Henry, at least as long as before you graduate. And then Chris, as an economics professor, does this tie into something that maybe you're interested in outside of the classroom, or is this something that was brand new to you as well?
Well, I mean, I enjoy sort of math, and I enjoy Lego and so on. I originally came to this because through my son, actually, who is now a 5th grader at Crocker Farm. So he did this program last year. One of his friend's mothers, Krista Klein, had started a 4-H robotics club. And they didn't have very much equipment, so that's sort of one constraint, is being able to get enough equipment.
Right.
And so, based on that, my son got very interested in these robots, and so it occurred to me that to try to get this going as an after-school program. And then once the CCE became involved, they provided the financing, and so we're not really constrained now in terms of equipment and financing because of the CCE's generosity. Our constraint is the availability of student volunteers. So in terms of expanding the program, that's really what we would need to do, is get more students involved. And ultimately, my goal is to pass this over so that I don't have to keep running it, so that Henry and future students can keep this hopefully ongoing. Once you have the robots, there's really very little in the way of cost. You just need to occasionally buy new batteries. But once you have the equipment, it lasts.
Yeah. So the kits are returned at the end. The kids don't get to keep these robots and bring them home. No, these are under lock and key. That's good to know.
They stay at the elementary school.
They do? Okay. And I'm sure Derek Shea plays with them when no one's around or something. He could have his little wars and battles and stuff. And for those of you who don't know, Derek Shea's a principal at Crocker Farm, so just giving him a shout out as well. Well, we're pretty much ready to wrap up the show. We have about maybe a minute or so left. So just closing thoughts about robotics, or perhaps the CCE, or even your thoughts on computer science at Amherst College.
So I guess I'd like to reiterate the thanks that we've been giving to the Center for Community Engagement, because they have a lot of funding and they use it really smartly, funding a lot of really good programs. And in terms of robotics, I think that if you're watching this program, then you should definitely consider getting a person, a small child that you might know, like either a grandchild or one of your own children, involved in robotics, because there are a lot of opportunities in STEM fields.
Okay, well, thank you, Henry. That's great advice. And Chris, any closing thoughts from you?
Well, I'm just very happy that we've been able to do this. Crocker Farm's a wonderful school. I have 2 kids there, and we have loved it. And so I think it's great to be able to do something to help enrich what's already a fantastic school.
Well, thank you very much for your efforts and your time, and just bringing this really unique program to Crocker Farm and to the Amherst Public Schools. We really appreciate it, and I'm just glad that you were able to explain everything to our viewers. So thank you both, Chris and Henry, for being here today. And I want to thank our viewers for tuning in to this edition of Voices from Our Schools. I'm your host, Kimberly Stender, and I hope you have a great day.